The Wall, a short story by D'akhenya Montoya. When I was young, I went with my grandfather when he was called to do a blessing ceremony for a family. This would be the first time I met little Michael. As you see, we were the same age. There was a young boy named Michael. He grew up with his mother, father, and 2 sisters. He loved his family very much. One day, his mother told him, "You can do anything you put your mind to." Little Michael always believed what his mother told him was the truth. "I can be an astronaut?" Michael asked his mother. "If you want to," she said to him. "I can be a rock and roll star?" he said again. "You can be anything you want if you put your mind to it and believe it," replied his mother. One day, Michael's mother had called my grandfather to come to their home for a blessing ceremony. Little Michael and his sisters loved to hear the stories that my grandfather would tell them. After grandfather had finished telling them stories, little Michael had a question for him. He remembered how his mother told him about believing he could do anything. He asked my grandfather if he believed that was true. "Oh, yes," said grandfather. "You can do anything you put your mind to. In fact, if you believe hard enough, you can walk through walls." Little Michael's jaw dropped open when he heard what the Haische said. He never thought about being able to walk through walls. "Have you ever walked through walls?" asked little Michael. "No," said grandfather. "I guess I never wanted to bad enough." And then he smiled. When grandfather and I were leaving little Michael's home, little Michael was sitting on the couch staring at the wall. "What's little Michael doing?" the mother asked my grandfather. Grandfather told her about walking through walls, and then we left. That day, little Michael stared at the living room wall. The wall separated the living room from his mother and father's bedroom. He got up and walked through the doorway and looked at the wall inside the bedroom. "If I concentrate hard enough," he thought, "I can walk through the living room wall and come out inside my parents' bedroom." For the rest of the afternoon, Michael's mother watched him sitting on the couch, just staring at the living room wall. Mother was making supper in the kitchen when she heard little Michael say, "Okay, I'm ready." She watched him get up from the couch and walk straight into the wall. Bang went the wall. The pictures on the shelf fell down as little Michael held his hands over his face. "Are you all right?" Mother asked. "That hurt," said little Michael as he rubbed his forehead. His older sister started laughing. When she was able to catch her breath, she said, "You didn't believe hard enough that you could do it." Mother tried not to laugh. Little Michael's mother was starting to get upset as the days passed. She was still hearing the sound of him walking into the wall. She was tired of picking the pictures up and putting them back on the shelf. Little Michael's sisters kept laughing every time they saw him bounce off the wall. After a week passed, the mother sat little Michael down on the couch. "You got to stop walking into the wall," she said. "But I can do it, Mother," he said. "I just have to believe harder." "You can't do it," she told him. "You're going to break your face off or ruin my wall if you keep this up." "But you said I could do anything if I believed hard enough," replied little Michael. His mother didn't know what to say, as she did mean he could do anything he put his mind to. "You've got it wrong," said his mother. "I was talking about what you want to be in life, like being an astronaut, remember?" Little Michael sat on the couch thinking about what his mother had just said. "But that doesn't make sense to me," he replied. "If I can do anything I put my mind to, I should be able to walk through the wall. Michael's mother knew that her son was technically correct, but she figured he needed to learn the difference between possible and impossible. "Listen to me, my son," she said. "You obviously aren't concentrating correctly on something so complicated as walking through a wall. Why don't you stop trying and try thinking how to concentrate hard enough before you try walking through the wall again?" She was hoping that Michael was young enough to forget trying after a day of doing something else. Later that afternoon, while Mother was doing dishes, she heard the familiar sound of Michael walking into the wall. She grabbed the towel to dry her hands as she said, "I told you to think about it for a while." But to her surprise, she saw Michael still sitting on the couch. Her youngest daughter was standing at the wall holding her face. "I guess she didn't concentrate hard enough either," said little Michael. The mother got so angry she forbid her children to walk into the walls again. When Michael heard this, he got upset with his little sister for getting them in trouble. Months had passed. School had started for the two older children. About once a week, though, Mother could still hear one of her children trying to walk into the wall. They were in competition on who could do it first. Finally, she sat her two youngest children down on the couch and asked them if they knew what common sense was. "No," replied the two children. "What do you think would happen if you put your hand in a fire?" she asked them. Little Michael said, "I would burn my hand." "That's right," she said. "Common sense is knowing that even though you believe you can do anything you put your mind to, if you put your hand in the fire, you're going to get burned." "That makes a lot of sense," agreed both children. "Common sense should tell you not to walk into the wall," Mother added with a stern look. The youngest daughter understood the message and gave up ever trying to walk into the wall. Little Michael, on the other hand, was not convinced. He believed so much in being able to do it that he knew it had to be something he was doing wrong. As time passed, he continued to sit on the couch and stare at the wall. It was now the holidays. The children had been out of school for the Christmas break. Little Michael's sisters were helping their mother bake cookies when they heard little Michael call from the living room. "I'm ready," he yelled out to his family. Mother and daughters came into the living room just as their father came home from working at the railroad. "Merry Christmas," said Father as he walked through the door. He saw them all standing in the living room staring at little Michael. "What's going on?" asked Father. "Tell your son to stop trying to walk into the wall," said Mother with authority. "Oh, he's trying it again," replied Father. Mother nodded her head as she gave her husband the mama look, the enchanted look that turns people into stone. Father shielded his eyes, saying, Okay. Michael, this is going to be the very last time you try to do this. Understand me?" Mother looked at her husband. "One more time?" Father smiled. He wanted to see Michael bounce off the wall. "But Father, I'm really ready this time," said Michael. "If you fail this time," said his father, "I better not hear about you trying it again, or we'll eat a chicken together." Little Michael knew this was code word for "I'll beat you till you're dead meat." He agreed that this would be the last time. His father sat down on the couch and the children joined him. Mother stood with her arms folded, slowly shaking her head. Little Michael put his hands together and started sucking in air and then blowing it out. He did that several times before he nodded his head. Little Michael outstretched his arms to his side and leaned his head back. Taking a deep breath, he started walking towards the wall. Father had a slight smile on his face as he watched his son head towards the wall. Little Michael got to the wall and disappeared through it. The family stared in disbelief. Father leapt from the couch as he and his wife said in unison, "He did it!" Mother ran to the bedroom door, flung it open, and ran in to congratulate her son for doing the impossible. But as they all got into the bedroom, little Michael wasn't in there. "Where is he?" yelled his mother. She pushed her way through her family back into the living room. She put her hand to the wall, but it was solid. "Come out of there!" she screamed. "Come out now!" The children searched the bedroom, under the bed, in the closet, but little Michael was gone. Almost 30 years have passed as the family and grandchildren continue to gather in the same house for the Christmas holiday. Everyone would tell stories how little Michael on Christmas Eve had walked into the wall and hadn't been heard from since. Maybe this Christmas would be the year he comes back.